Charizard is on the rise, Darkrai Giratina making a stronger impact, as well as a surprise turnaround showing from Buzzwole. Welcome to the Meta Report. My name is AustyLaVista, and today we're going to be recapping which decks are having the most success in the biggest Pokemon TCG Pocket tournaments. Arceus Pocket Weekly number 35 took place over the weekend, with even more players than last week at 600 players competing for the $400 prize. Here's a percentage of the decks that made it into top cut and performed the best. Sylveon continues to be a mainstay in evolution decks, but we've also seen a rise in basic card decks such as Giratina, Darkrai, and Buzzwole. Charizard Sylveon now ties with Sylveon Greninja, with both at 20% each. Due to its success last week, we've seen an increase in Giratina Darkrai and in turn a rally for Buzzwole. No change in Leafeon's performance and a 5% decrease in Silvally Oricorio's. Arceus Tapu Koko show some signs of life, while Magnezone and Garchomp round out the bottom at 3%. The last 11% were other one-off decks that made it into top cut, with a sneaky VGC threat that managed a decent climb. The biggest popularity boost we saw this weekend was in the extra-dimensional Ultra Beast deck, Buzzwole, not only rising by 8% in usage for top cut, but also outright winning the entire tournament, as Ilucian piloted the deck to victory. The deck remains similar to last season's Buzzwole decks, using 7 Ultra Beasts total. Setting up with Pheromosa to start sniping key targets in the backline to chip away and set up for a Cyrus later is key to early game, while also having the potential for a 40-hit trash metal from Giratina to destroy basics before they can evolve, as well as dealing with Oricorio. Celesteela also lets you retreat Buzzwole and then quickly bring him back in to remove his debuff, allowing you to use repetitive 120 damage swings to finish the game. The deck performs well into Sylveon Greninja while losing to Charizard and Flareon decks, but what truly brought this deck back into popularity was the rise in Giratina Darkrai decks, where Buzzwole saw a 67% win rate against that deck this weekend. Speaking of matchups, Charizard Sylveon has a favorable 60% win rate versus Buzzwole due to its ability to one-shot through Leaf Cape. Increasing by 1% in usage for top cut let it tie for first with Sylveon Greninja, who had a massive drop in usage. This deck has little room for deck customization, as this seems to be the most popular version. Sylveon is the classic evolution engine, as it allows you to find your cards even faster, with Charmander, Charizard, and Rare Candy being the winning trio. Add in Giant Cape and Lily for sustainability and a Flareon to deal with cards like Oricorio, and you have yourself a top deck in the making, which performs favorably against the higher percentage of top cuts like Giratina Darkrai, Buzzwole, and Leafeon, while struggling against some of the lower parts like Arceus Tapu Koko, Solgaleo, Zeraora, and Magnezone. We saw a huge drop off from Sylveon Greninja, but it's still remaining popular as it ties with Charizard as most used deck in the top cut. Sylveon helps you find your Greninja evolution cards quickly to start sniping from the backline using Water Shuriken. The whole game plan is to defeat the enemies quickly with Greninja or stall out until Giratina can get online and start throwing out haymakers. 2 Cyrus is imperative as it synergizes well with Water Shuriken, while Mars and Red Card are used to disrupt enemy evolution decks. While it eats up decks with Oricorio in it for breakfast, it does struggle versus Giratina Darkrai, which had a rise this go around. With so much space for 16 trainer cards, the deck can load up on a lot of tricks to survive, like Potion, Pokemon Center Lady, and Giant Cape, disrupt cards like Sabrina and Guzma, a free retreat and Leaf, and Rocky Helmet to make opponents think twice before attacking. It had a 62% win rate against Sylveon Greninja, a 78% win rate versus Solgaleo, and an 86% win rate versus Garchomp, while maintaining a pretty even matchup rating versus a lot of the other meta decks. It does suffer against Charizard, sporting an abysmal 28% win rate, as well as against Buzzwole at 33%. Eevee returns with the classic Leafeon, Flareon, and Sylveon EX, all gathering together for a wide range of tactics. The highest placing player using this deck last week opted for a normal Flareon, but we see a return to form in Leafeon this time around. The sudden 90 damage jump scare that can come from one Forest Breath that also has the capability to one-shot Oricorio can be devastating for any rival deck. Stacking Eevee bags with red helps make the range of damage output so large that it'll be harder for an opponent to guess if their card can take an additional hit or not. While it didn't run into any Buzzwoles in the top cut this time around, it sported a 72% win rate against them, as well as a 63% win rate against Magnezone. With a slight edge against Sylveon Greninja at 56%, the deck truly only struggles against the likes of Charizard, a mere 25% win percentage, and an even worse 20% versus Arceus Tapu Koko. Silvally Oricorio, with help from Zeraora, makes its return as well, supplying a total of 10 supporter cards to help get the additional damage from Brave Buddies. This is a deck that relies heavily on going second, as being able to ramp up to a 100 damage swing by then is completely devastating in the early game. It struggles against Sylveon Greninja with a 36% win rate and a 40% win rate against Buzzwole, but going pretty even with others, as well as a superb 78% win rate versus Arceus Tapu Koko, puts the deck in a really good spot, especially for those not wanting to run EXs in their deck. Speaking of Arceus, Tapu, Koko, we saw way more of this deck as an answer for the rise in Charizard. The matches didn't go as well as expected, but they still maintained a 58% win rate against the fire starter. Having so much energy generation in Zeraora and Electrical Cord allows the deck to ramp up incredibly quickly, as well as having 5 different basics to get the max amount of damage from Arceus EX. It struggles versus Sylveon Greninja with a 38% win rate and an even worse 22% percentage against Silvally Oricorio, but the 80% win rate against Flareon Leafeon is nothing to sneeze at as this game continues to get wild with its counter picks. Magnezone made its return with the help from Sylveon and Tapu Lele. This deck did its job by eating cards that rely upon a ton of energy to get going, such as its 55% win rate versus a Charizard EX. Energy Arrow is too good of an attack when trying to delete bench Pokemon that are trying to buff up before coming into the active spot. The deck suffered versus Flareon Leafeon with 38%, since this is a deck that ramps up super quickly and with limited energy. Garchomp made its return, pairing with Rampardos and Sylveon EX. Decks that fail to take care of the fossil sitting on the bench before it can evolve with Rare Candy will have to face the sheer strength of the Rampardos Head Smash, a whopping 130 damage for 1 energy from a non-EX. This deck sported a positive win rate against Sylveon Greninja with 58% as well as Charizard EX at 63%. Unfortunately, with the rise of Giratina Darkrai, we saw a small performance fall off as this deck just can't keep up with late game that this deck excels at, ending at a 14% win rate against the legendaries. Last but not least, I wanted to give a shout out to the single Incineroar deck that made it into Top Cut. With 15 supporter cards to pick from due to the solo nature of Incineroar, makes it so you can pack this deck to the brim with everything you need to find success. Ow, one of the newest supporters, only enhances Incineroar's 140 damage to hit to 170, allowing it to find an answer against Charizard when combined with Rocky Helmet. The deck also relies only on 1 Pokeball instead of 2, since there's only 2 basics total. Freeing up more space for much needed cards like Lily and Sabrina, this deck didn't drop a single round in the Swiss format, but was immediately knocked out of the Top Cut in the first round by Garchomp EX. Excited to see how this deck fares in the future and if more players will start to pick it up. And that's the meta report from this previous weekend. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe as it really helps my channel out. My name is AustyLaVista and I'll see you all next time.